Hello and welcome to Get Into Games on Air, a podcast about board games and the people who play them. Welcome to episode 15. Becky can't take turns. Introducing our lovely selves. My name is Craig, as always. Joining me is the elusive Rebecca, who, of course, can't take turns. Say hi.
How many times are you going to mention that?
Maybe a few more.
Hi.
And also, an extra special guest. One half of, and possibly the most handsome half, of the Meeple to Meeple podcast. His name is PJ, a.k.a. the Cajun Gamer. Hello!
Hey, guys. And I just want to confirm, Becky cannot take turns.
You're ganging up on me.
This is accurate information that we will get into more detailed. So today is an extra special episode because PJ came all the way over to sunny Blighty. I think actually he probably brought the sunshine with him because it was raining every day before he came, and then all of a sudden we've had a glorious few weeks of weather.
You're welcome, my British friends. You're welcome.
We're going to be talking about what hit our table with PJ and his lovely wife, Katie. We're going to fire some quick-fire questions at PJ, as well as speaking about how certain games, certain members of the team, not me, and there's only one other member of the team, may change their mind on certain games, and how, of course...
I thought you were going to say I can't take turns again.
But you can't.
They don't know how. Yeah. You definitely can't. Hello, PJ. So, PJ, you are now back in is it sunny over there in glorious America land?
So, it's really interesting. There has not been a cloud in the sky for the past 2 days. Whereas there were clouds pretty much every day in England. There's like nothing. We got home and did the yard work, and just sunny, hot it is. I made sure to convert because I figured you were going to ask. 27 degrees Celsius today.
And what does it feel like?
Yeah, most importantly.
Oh, right. It feels like 29.
Oh, okay.
Toasty.
Right, yeah, so that was interesting. Apparently, y'all don't do that. Like, Americans are crazy about the temperature is 75 degrees, but it feels like 85, which is like the heat index in the heat, and we call it a wind chill when it's cold. Y'all are like, it's 10 degrees.
Yeah. It's cold today. It's wet. It's England. Look out the window. You get an idea. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Apparently, meteorologists in England, they have one adjective to describe the weather. It's unsettled. That's it.
Yeah.
It's always unsettled.
To be fair, that is. It's like we've got weather that's unsettled and we've got board games that are all cozy. Isn't that right, PJ?
Yes, they're cozy. I was hoping you weren't going to go there. Yes.
Why not? It's low hanging fruit. I'm always going to go.
Unsettled weather and cozy games. Yeah. There's title. Oh, that's a good title.
Maybe
that's such an overused adjective for games, and an overused adjective for your weather as well. Because I'm like, what does that mean? It tells me nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I am happy to be here. It's I got to spend 2.5 days at the Get Into Games on Air Studios.
That's it. That's what we call the kitchen.
You're not even in the kitchen today.
No, you're not. But I know where you are because I've seen that room. I've spent some time in that room. I had children climbing on me in that room, like I was a jungle gym or something. It was crazy.
And a very good jungle gym you were.
And then I learned that Becky can't take turns.
This is accurate. Yeah.
No.
So, we played some games, didn't we?
We did.
We played lots of games.
How many How many games, within reason, did we play?
I think 19.
19.
What?
I thought it was 17, and then you just reminded me of 2
Yep.
other ones. So 19 games. Not bad for 2 days, I would say.
And that's not including the one at the dice box.
No, that is including the one at the dice box.
That-
I have written that down.
Well, then ignore me right now.
Well,
So-
consider yourself ignored, sir.
You started off with a game of Potion Explosion.
We did.
At the dice box.
Which was PJ's first ever experience of potion explosion.
Yeah.
How did you find it?
It was interesting. We discovered that I don't pick up marbles very well. I, for the life of me, could not pick up the marbles. I kept knocking them off the track.
James was the same.
Yeah.
He, when they were playing.
Yeah, they
Which
kept
is busy.
pinging everywhere.
That
And then-
game is better than it has any right to be. It's
Yeah.
you look at it, you think this is nothing. No, it's so good.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's
for
just
that.
combo-tastic, isn't it?
It is.
Once it all starts going, you just
Mhm.
yeah.
I
And
hope your listeners go to Dicebox Cafe because that was a great experience. I had a fantastic smoothie. Katie had a delicious tea that was in Leamington Spa, right? That's where we were.
Indeed,
Yeah. So for those of your listeners, Leamington Spa, Dicebox Cafe, go enjoy a delicious beverage and a great game.
There you go. That's free advertisement. I'll put the bill in.
And then after dinner and after the kids had gone to bed,
Mm-hmm.
on the first night we played the art project.
We did.
We did.
And then that's when Katie and PJ got to try out Lacuna and Shanti,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
which were two-player games. I mean, I guess you can play we played Shanti like
Two
team
teams,
player.
didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on Lacuna and Shanti then?
So Lacuna is absolutely gorgeous. A lot of fun. Another game that's better than it has any right to be because it's so deep, got some rich strategy, and I'm an idiot, and so Katie just crushed me. I'm like, I did understand the assignment, but I'm not smarter than Katie, and I know that. And she whooped me.
There was a moment where the sheet was flipped mildly towards the end. I think the term was stupid game.
Yeah. Guilty as charged.
But you enjoyed on Shanti as well.
Oh, that game is gorgeous and a lot of fun. I'm not very good at it, but wow. Yeah.
Comes with practice, doesn't it? Just knowing how hard to kind of slide the ball to get into the sections. Yeah.
So
really
good.
nice.
So good.
And then, so the next day we had games with Beanie.
Mm-hmm.
Come join us for, what did you call it?
PJ and DunkedCon.
PJ and DunkedCon. Does that make any sense to PJ at all?
He does. 'Cause
Yes.
We sent him the Let's Get Ready to Rumble song.
PJ. Fair enough.
Yep. That was great.
So we started in the morning before they arrived with a game of Distilled,
Yes.
which just had to be played.
And PJ
Had to be.
Had to be played. And PJ just like completely annihilated us.
Yes.
He got all the awards. He's just collecting them all up.
I made
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. I'm such a distiller. Which you'll be glad to know, coming in the post tomorrow is the expansion for Distilled.
Oh, is that the Africa, Middle East, or the?
Yeah. The Africa Middle East one. Yeah, it recently came back into stock at kienda.co.uk. Not an ad, but an ad. Visit them and use my code in the bio of my link in my Instagram account. You know, words. Do that. But yeah, it came into stock, so we treated ourselves, didn't we?
We did.
Good for you. Good for you.
Rattle off the list.
Go on then.
There's quite a few.
Rattle.
So you guys played Sakura while I went out with the kids.
Yes.
We played After Us.
Mm-hmm.
We played Deception Murder in Hong Kong. We played Go Nuts for Donuts. We played Planet Unknown. Number 9, Cheese Thief, and Ransom Notes. I think that was all of them.
Yes, I think so too. That sounds about
That
right.
was quite a lot.
Yes. What game was your highlight then, PJ? Would you say?
Planet Unknown, I really enjoyed. I was looking forward to that. Sakura was really good too. Man,
I really liked Sakura.
They were all really good games.
It was good.
Yeah, it's a really clever little card game where play a card, and then you're following the Emperor along this track. You don't want to bump into him or get too close. You don't want to step on his robes because he gets angry with you and you lose honor. So yeah, it's just a really nice little.
But he does smell good. He smells really good.
You can't help but touch him. I mean, just to get a bit of that aura.
You can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes he just doesn't walk fast enough, and you bump into him.
It's his own fault. It's actually his own fault, I would say. He should lose the honor.
I agree.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wait until I see that Emperor again.
And then on day 3, which was the day, sadly, we had to take PJ and Katie to their hotel. They were leaving. We played Chai.
Yep.
We played Heat.
Yes.
And then we had the most amazing game of Obsession at Waddesdon Manor.
Yes.
Which was just incredible.
Yeah. The weather held out. The weather was very settled.
Yeah. It was a settled day.
That was
the best game of Obsession I think I ever played. That is what I wanted. That was the experience I wanted.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great to be able to actually play a game outside of a building that's essentially where it's set. Like it was an experience of a game. It was experiencing a game more than just playing a game.
But I was talking to you about it, and ordinarily we wouldn't choose to take a massive boxed game to a National Trust place, but it felt like we could do it because PJ and Katie were there, and it was like,
yeah,
this is cool, we can do this, but we wouldn't normally do it. But I'm like, why don't we normally do that? Because that's actually really cool.
We're going to do it more often now.
Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah.
And now Becky realizes that Obsession's not as bad as she originally thought.
We will talk about that later.
Exactly. It's not as bad as she initially thought. And also, she can't take turns.
No.
Right. Let's get on it now.
Getting on what?
What
are we getting on?
Fire questions at PJ the hardest.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm deflecting because I'm having no more of this talking about can't take turns, okay?
Yes. Okay.
Right.
So, are you ready, PJ, for your quick fire PJ questions?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Dum da da da. Duh, duh. That's the Mastermind theme. I don't know if that has any sense. Makes any.
Dun, 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 dun.
There's sort of 3 sections to this quiz.
Quiz?
Yeah, it's like a quiz about PJ.
Oh, good. You should
Where
know
he
the answers.
answers the
Then.
questions himself. So there's 5 fairly straightforward questions. Then there's a which do you prefer section, and then there's the first word that comes to your mind when I say certain games section. So, first question. 5 words to describe you.
Bald, bearded, gregarious,
Oh, nice one.
compassionate, and passionate. I'm very passionate about being compassionate.
I would agree with those.
He's going to get that printed on a T-shirt.
First game you ever played?
Was like ever since I was a child.
Like ever.
That would be Candyland.
Ooh, okay. A game that unlocked the modern world of board gaming for you.
That was the Settlers of Catan.
Oh, okay. Most disappointing board game purchase.
Mythwind.
And the Kickstarter that you waited the longest for.
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, I want to say Frosthaven.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
How long did you wait? How long did you wait for it?
2 years? 2
Wow.
years?
Okay. That was a long wait.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now we're on the which do you prefer questions. So, do you prefer worker placement or deck building?
You cut out and I missed that first question.
Sorry.
Okay.
Worker placement or deck building?
Oh, worker placement.
Okay. Dexterity games or abstract strategy?
Abstract.
Yeah, I thought so. Monopoly or Clue?
Clue.
Oh. Star Wars or Star Trek themed games?
Star Trek.
Competitive or cooperative?
Cooperative.
And 2-player or a higher player count? 2-player or a higher player count?
2-player mostly.
Okay. So, first word that comes to your mind when I say nemesis.
Wow. Wow.
First word that comes to your mind when I say distilled.
Whiskey.
Okay. Obsession.
England.
Gloomhaven.
Campaign.
Ticket to Ride Legacy.
Awesome.
Side.
Ooh. Objective.
Okay. Kootenai Horror.
Fantastic.
Darwin's Journey.
Strategic.
And Jerusalem.
Jesus.
Okay. There we go.
I wanted to say Jesus Christ, but that's 2 words. And I'm like,
Fair enough.
and then I wanted to say Last Supper, but that's 2 words. So.
There we go. You did all right. That was good.
It's good. Yeah.
The people have learned something.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that is...
I just like asking the question.
Well, okay.
Do you know what I
They're
think
good
about board
questions.
games?
What do you think about board games?
There's too many of them.
No way.
There is. And when you're collecting board games or playing board games, and there's more and more board games in the world, you always want a way to be able to, play them and then just send them back. Would be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, yes, if you're going to buy them.
Yeah, but is that? I don't. What I would like, though, is because my collection's like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more games coming out, and then we have games days like with PJ and the games with Beanie, and we play new games and try new games, and we think, now, like, I'm sure PJ's played a couple of games, and he's now desperate to go out to the shop and buy them, rent them. What do you mean rent board games?
He could rent them, and then he could try them for himself in his own house, in his own situation, and then.
Is that a thing though? Can people do that?
Yes, Craig.
Can they?
Yes.
No, Craig.
PJ can't because he's not in England.
But in England, we can.
Yeah.
We can't do that here in the U.S.
You can't do that in the US, but in England you can do that.
Yes.
What are you going to tell me? Next you're going to tell me go to a website like rentshuffleandroll.co.uk, type in the code GITG50 and get 50% off your first month ordering from rentshuffleandroll.com.co.uk?
Yes, that exact one.
Oh, that's a really good idea. So why not head over to rentshuffleandroll.co.uk and type in the code GITG50 to get 50% off your first month's orders. Anyway.
It's like you planned that.
It was weird how I planned that.
Just drop it in.
I love that.
It was really random.
Subtly.
Who'd have thought that? Subtly, like a sledgehammer, just the way I like to do it. So, what are we going to discuss now?
I mean, I wish we had something like that here in America, because that would be really cool.
It is cool, and you can rent them, and then you can try them, and then if you want, you can actually buy them directly from them as well. So,
ooh, you can buy them too. That's fantastic. That's a great deal.
That is a really good deal, and using that code GITG50, you get 50% off that first month. Who would have thought? And then potentially the podcast gets a little bit of a kickback, and that keeps the lights on in the podcast studio, and it lets us have more guests from America stay with us, because
yes, more guests from America.
Yes, more guests from America, specifically PJ and Katie.
No randoms.
Yeah. Please do not email the podcast. I want to stay in your house. It's not the best thing to do. I don't suggest it. So basically, what I'm hearing is, for the most part, is that Becky can't take turns. Would you say that's correct?
I would say that is absolutely correct. Although I feel like we should probably tell people why, what we're referencing, because it's very specific. It
is quite specific. She's selfish. No. Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting this nod of disapproval, this head shake of disapproval from PJ. That was the wrong thing. I wasn't meant to say that. I've made a mistake. I do apologise. And there's just no way of editing podcasts. I'm so sorry. So we played.
So I just go cry in the corner.
You please. So PJ asked, could we try out Heat? He did. And
yep.
And we did try it out.
We did indeed try it out. We tried it out good.
And I tried out using all the heat in my engine.
You did.
It worked out very well.
Yes. So yeah.
In my defence though, right? I did have a 4-year-old in my ear saying, lay 10
go speed 10. You said, she was telling you to go speed 10, but you were on a corner, in front of a corner that clearly said 3, and decided to play 10.
But I had forgotten that I wasn't quite past the corner. That was the issue.
Well.
Wasn't it?
That is a bit of an issue.
So it wasn't really my fault.
Well, but it kind of was your fault.
Well, I was distracted. I feel like I was the most distracted at the table.
That's fair.
Okay, that was fair. You were the most distracted. Absolutely. However, when the 4-year-old tells you to play 10 when you need to be 3 or whatever it was, you don't do that.
Yeah, think about what you're actually
I had
doing.
already previously crashed, and that was my second.
But
so I just crashed again.
Yeah, exactly. Double crashing. That was good. But the reason we're discussing this is because Heat was always never high on your radar of games.
Basically, Becky's wrong. She can't take turns, and you should listen to her. Is that basically it?
All 4-year-olds is what we're saying. So basically what this part of the show is about are 3 games that we played. It is 3 games, isn't it? We played with PJ and Katie this week that we weren't either we were both not very hot on, or you were specifically not that hot on. And your opinion,
not that I wasn't hot on, that I didn't understand it or get it, and it didn't make sense to me, so I didn't necessarily want to bother to put time and effort in to play it.
Yeah,
and I suppose have since changed my mind, because PJ will know that since he went back home, we played another game of Heat, and I can take turns.
Mm-mm.
Ooh! Check you out.
I did better.
There
was like 3 spaces.
You did it
between us.
That's true, and you spanned once.
All right. No, to be fair, the first time, I think, maybe it's to do with you teaching it to me.
I don't think it's anything to do with me.
I think the rule book is a little confusing, and I think you need to be able to play the game in order to understand what the rulebook is talking about, which means the rulebook isn't very good.
Yes.
Yes.
And so initially, we read the rulebook, we tried to play the game. You've played a game of it at ScootCon, didn't you? You
Yep.
taught a game of it.
Yep.
And it just didn't flow for whatever reason. I didn't understand the heat in the engine, blah, blah, blah. I just didn't see what it did over the other racing games that we had in our collection, like Downforce, like Formula D, what's the other one?
Yeah,
Rallyman
Rallyman
GT.
GT,
I just didn't see what else it did.
Yeah. That's fair. That
And
is fair.
then PJ came along and he went, oh, so the heat in the engine is because, you're pushing to try to get faster around the corner or whatever it was. And the way he explained it, I was like, oh, I get what that is now.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, this is the best racing game that replicates racing that there is, right? Because of this slipstream and the boosting and the cooldown and the heat. I was like, I finally got it.
There it is, Craig. The best racing game that hits your table.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sell the rest of them. Downforce, Rallyman GT, Formula D. Get rid of them. Heat. So good.
But once you know how to play it, it's actually quite simple.
Yeah.
And once you learn the iconography along the top, it's like, because it took me a while, but Katie was very good at going, yeah, I've done all of those things and moving on to your turn now. And I was like, how does she know she's done all those things?
She breaks things up beautifully. She just is a master of organizing thoughts.
And I was going, well, have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? By the time we played after they left, I was like, yeah, I've done all those things. You'll go, Craig.
Yeah.
It was much quicker then, and I think it was enjoyable.
I think the main point of this discussion is really how important the flavor text is to board games and how important the story is to the theme.
Absolutely.
Because you can go through mechanically, this is what I do on a turn, and that you can play the game like that. But when you think thematically why you're doing what you're doing with the cards from Heat and the other games we're going to discuss, when you go into those games more thematically and really think about why you're doing what you're doing, then you really, really learn what you're doing. And I think as credit to PJ, who's here, obviously I would say this without him here, maybe I would say this, but
maybe
I find that you're a storyteller when it comes to games. So you really dive into the theming and the story of why what's happening is happening, and I think that kind of helps, especially when it comes to learning games or stuff like that. Like what the other games that you have warmed on a little bit more again.
It's really interesting that you say that, because to be fair, while I do that, and thank you for recognizing it, I don't teach games. I'm not the teacher in our marriage. Katie's a teacher. I have to synthesize it, and then why are we doing this? And of course I'm a writer and a creator, so I'm like, why are we doing this? Why am I what's going on? Oh, yeah. So
but it's it's the marrying up the why are you doing it. So for me, and I've mentioned this previously, I didn't really get Obsession because I was like, mechanically, I understand what we're doing. We take this meeple and put it over here, and then they go to the dining room or whatever it is, and then we put it at the bottom of our sheet. Like, what? Like, it's boring. Like, it does nothing. Anyway, we sit down to play with
But you know better now.
Yeah. But we sit down to play with PJ, and he's like, right, well, Katie and I have this thing where we read out who the characters are, so we play the cards. So I was like, oh, okay. Immediately, it starts to sound a bit more interesting. So we're reading out about these, very fancy people and where they've come from and their background. I'm like, okay, I'm a bit more invested now. And then we start to make up a little story about where, who's taking who to what event and why they're doing it and why they're going with that person. And I'm like, oh, it's a world now.
Yeah.
It's not just a game, and it's not just about the mechanics. It's like, oh, I'm immersed in the story of this household and of these people. And that's the bit I was missing. So I was like, well, this is boring. But now I'm like, oh, I can make a story about these characters and where they're going. And then the next time we play, they can go and have a different, it's cool.
Right? Because you were playing House Asquith, which still had the Dowager alive. So you had 5 family members, whereas the rest of us had 4.
Mm-hmm.
And you kept trying to, the Earl of Asquith managed to successfully, in multiple courtship seasons, attract his son, his heir, to the Fairchild daughter, Elizabeth Fairchild. Yeah. You won that game, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think you won that.
Yeah.
That's the real reason why Becky loves Obsession now.
But I also think there's something about just like you can play it 2-player and that's fine, but there's something about playing it with more players, having time. And Craig and I were talking about this. We went to a wedding, so we had a long drive there and back, and we were talking about the fact that I think sometimes when we play 2-player, we're too quick to take our turns. We don't properly think about it. When you have 4 players around a table, you have a bit more thinking time, so you can make more of your turn and better decisions.
Yep.
We were saying about the fact that I'm always worried about analysis paralysis and people taking too long on their turns, but I think there's the other side as well, where you don't take enough time to think about what you're doing in your turn, which is probably what happened in Heat, because I didn't actually think it through before I did it. But there's there is that other side that I don't think we talk about enough. Like, it's okay to take a bit of time to think about what you're going to do in order to make a better game.
In fact, it's more than okay. So this morning, playing a game with Katie, 2-player game, taking my turns too quickly, I have a tendency to ignore order of operation. And then I start skipping steps. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. You just do them all. And that, I'm trying to get better at it. But whenever it's just Katie and I'm always wanting to rush through it. And that tends to sabotage the system, which is bad. So.
And then there was one more game that we played.
Yes.
Which was kind of where it all started, because this was the game where I said, well, we were talking about it, and I think we mentioned it on the podcast maybe before, that it's not my favorite game, and PJ kindly said, let's play that and I'll get you to love it, or something along these lines. So we played Ark Nova.
Yep.
And that was really good as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, PJ's good. He's behind on 3 games. I think historically the setup seemed daunting. We definitely, I think, were playing it. I underestimated the sponsorship cards. The sponsorship cards are sort of key to driving.
They drive the narrative of your zoo. They drive this, again, going into story for theme. If you're going to get a specific sponsor in, they're going to be how you play the game. If you're going to focus on the Australian animals because you've got an Australian partnership, you are going to focus on getting Australian animals. You're going to focus on that. That's the story of your zoo. That's the story of what you're doing. And that's the theme. And that's what I think is so important. That is something that we were just kind of ignoring because I don't think we entirely understood what we were doing. But
yeah, and I didn't understand how you got the conservation track and the other, what's it called, the appeal track, and how you crossed it over to score positive points. And I never understood the scoring. And then PJ said, well, the conservation is really important. You've got to go for that, more than the appeal. The appeal will just happen naturally because you're attracting.
You get it
new
as you play your cards. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I'm going to try and get as many conservation points. And actually, that when I played it that way, I was far more successful, and the score was closer.
It wasn't.
But again, having 4 people and watching people take their turn, it wasn't closer.
Not for me.
No, not for you.
No.
You got stuck in a loop.
I think Katie destroyed us all in that game.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
But it. What was I saying before you? I don't know. You started talking, and now I can't remember what I was going to say.
I'm sure if it was important, it will come back to you. But yeah,
you were talking about your focus on conservation.
Yeah, no, I think that it's amazing how missing the point on tiny elements of a game can completely flip how you feel about it. It wasn't like you taught us the whole, it wasn't like we'd learned it all wrong.
Mm-mm.
You just sort of said, "Oh, have you thought about this?" Like a tiny tweak, and "Oh, okay, now I can be more competitive, and I can." Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I definitely think, and again, it does come back down to the elements of theme and what you're doing, why you're playing the game, not just the core mechanics of what you're doing. I mean, have there been any games that you, PJ, have ever felt like it's never clicked with you until you've thought more in detail about the story of why you're playing the game?
Oh, I think that was early on when we were playing Catan. When I was an undergrad in college, I was like, what? Okay, so we're just managing resources and doing a thing. And it wasn't until I understood the mechanics and I realized that I can kind of do what I want. I started, we got seafarers, and I could explore. That's when I discovered exploring is my favorite, and I love tile placement games. And I was playing my own game, and a lot of times I won because I was just doing my own thing. Because at first I was like, "Why are we playing this? It was it was just so different." I was like, "Okay, hexes, sheep, a lot of sheep in England, by the way." And nobody wants sheep.
Nope. Especially not when they jump.
There were a lot of Catan jokes when we were driving on those country roads. Woo, man. Yeah, for me it was Catan, and then when I started thinking about the motivation, why am I doing this? I'm doing it so I can explore the other islands, and if I do this, this happens, and yeah, I was like, all right, this is cool, and that kind of has served me well as I learn new games.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we are taking, moving, when we're actually playing games and stuff. We learned Bitoku.
So yeah, we opened Bitoku after you left, and I decided I wouldn't, because my downfall is I immediately go, okay, so what are the rules? What do I have to do? And I thought, I won't do that. I'm going to read the bit at the very top where it sets the scene of the theming for the game.
Yeah, the flavour text at the beginning. Most of the time, you just ignore it, don't we?
So I do tend to ignore it. And I was like, no, PJ's taught me better than this. I will read this. And I was like, and actually my understanding of the game, because then I was trying to teach you, but I hadn't given you all the flavour text. Well, I'd tried a little bit, but because we'd watched a video about how to do it.
Yeah.
My understanding was far better because I'd read that little paragraph at the top that set the world, and it's all about the spirit animals and the ascension of the spirit animal.
Yeah.
That it can't be underestimated how important that tiny bit of text is. And I think PJ said it while he was over, game creators spend a long time thinking about their games and why they're going to put things in there. And it's not there just for a bit of, light reading. It's there for a purpose. They put it there because it's important to the game, right?
Yeah, because you came out of Bitoku going, oh, that was really good. And I went, it was long, wasn't it? It's like real long.
Yeah.
That was 2 hours. We've been doing this for 2 hours. And you're like, yeah, but it was so good, and this happened and that. And I was like, yeah, it was 2 hours, wasn't it? I could have watched a Marvel movie. No, it was good. Yeah, it was.
So I guess the question is, do you recommend Bitoku?
Oh, I do. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's lots of things you can do, but then there's things that you can't do because other people have done them. So you've got to constantly be evaluating your strategy and changing things on the fly, which I really enjoy.
It's definitely it's daunting to look at. The board is so big and it's so colourful. It's beautiful, but you go board blind staring at it. You're like, okay, it's just.
I think you do, but once you realise how the board is laid out, because it's laid out like, so here are the animals in the soil, and then here they are in the water in the pond, and then it goes up to the hills, and
then it goes up into the sky and into the heavens as they ascend into.
Once you understand that, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. It's one that we've been eyeballing for a while. It's like, man, do we get that? And it does. It seems like a big game, so it's like, oof,
And it has that nice Devere name on the box, which is always which is always a good sign.
Yep.
But but again, getting more thematic with it. The more I thought about the theme after we played it, and after I decided that was really long, wasn't it? More of the theme and story. So what we're saying from this is read the flavor text and get into the theme of the game, get into the character, and enjoy what you're playing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I love that you brought that up because I remember us talking, and I was talking about the designers, like they devote so much energy to the theme. Why did they choose it, right? Like, why did they choose, a racing game, a Formula One racing game, or why did they choose the Last Supper in Jerusalem, or, why did they choose, dragons, like Flamecraft or something like that, right? So shameless plug for Tuesday's episode of Meeple and Meeple, where I interview Heather Dixon, who is launching Apostocracy. That's something she talked about was her theme. Her theme was really prevalent, and she talks about all the research she did going into the theme. So yeah, I mean that all matters. It's not in a vacuum at all. I'm glad I was able to help out.
And I think it does matter who it is. I think we definitely had a great time because we were playing with you guys, and I think that the best thing about our hobby is that we get to meet like all these new people, and then have them as our friends. Like, how cool is it that really we didn't know you we'd seen each other online, but we didn't really know you. Yeah. And you came over to our house and we played games together, and there was not really awkward moments at all. It was just like, this is cool.
Yeah, and it's a great thing about the community as a whole in the board gaming hobby, and just we're all one big happy family, aren't we?
One big happy family.
Happy family.
Yeah.
We really are, and if we weren't before, we are now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
No, it's really cool. So some other.
Thank you for opening your home to us. We really do appreciate it.
You are welcome.
That was wonderful.
And we got some nice gifts out of it too, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
So we've got some meeple coasters now and a gorgeous dice tray.
Yep.
Which we are waiting to play something, I don't know, like Dice Miner, so we can just throw
all the dice on it. Dice Miner was another one of those ones that we changed our minds on, didn't we?
When we learnt the rules.
When we learned the rules properly. Much better game when you know how to play something.
It is.
So one of the things, because Gareth got a similar dice tray, he found the sound very satisfying. I think he talked about it on our podcast. So play Dice Miner. You want something with a lot of dice. It's just this satisfying sound. Yeah.
So it's very cool. So thank you for our very kind gifts.
Yes. And
you were very welcome.
We also got to play, because of PJ, we got to play Sky Team
Oh, yes, we played it after you left. It was awesome.
So good.
We had played it on BDA, but it doesn't compare to actually playing in real life with the screens and the little
dice.
wooden aeroplanes and turning the dial. It's cool and I love it, and it's a
so
great
good.
game.
And you get all the module stuff in the box that you don't obviously
Yeah,
get in
so
BDA.
when you open the box, there's like a
Cardboard thing.
What's it called?
A sleeve.
Well, there's a white insert, and it looks like there's only just this one section that you have to pop out, and then you get a rule book that says, "Don't look at this until you've completed the first mission."
So she looked at it.
No, I didn't. We completed the first mission, then I looked at it, and then you like take the insert out, and underneath they're like all the different ways you can play it. There's so much in that box.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Katie will not play that game with me anymore.
Why?
We crashed. She's mad at me, and that game never hits the table. I have another friend of mine who comes over, and we play 2-player games. He and I landed the plane like 4 different airports. Like, clearly, I'm not the problem. Yeah.
So we asked the public
of Instagram. We went outside into the street, just saying, "What's your favorite board game moment?" And then they just said, "What are you looking at me for?"
Well, it wasn't favorite board game moment. It was board game moments they thought they would never have.
Yeah, amazing experiences that they thought things that they never thought would happen.
So the Cajun gamer, I don't know who he is.
No, I've never met him.
Who is that guy?
Said,
handsome, I hear.
I heard the same thing.
Said that playing Obsession at Waterston Manor was his.
That's really weird that 2 of us would have played Obsession in the same place. How the heck? Wow, we didn't obviously do it first. Damn it.
In all seriousness. Boredom.games.weymouth said aircon, and they actually messaged me separately to the post and said that 12 months ago they could never have imagined coming to spend a weekend playing board games, and they did, and they loved it. So that was really cool.
Did they add the bit about meeting Craig was the best thing they've ever done?
No.
Oh.
Remember, there's no egos, Craig.
Oh.
No egos.
Well, that's until they met me at Cajun Con.
Leroy Plays Games said getting his first review copy was
Nice.
something he never thought he would do. Board Games After Dark said board game wedding. I don't know if it was her. Maybe it was her own. And apparently the buckaroo went off mid-speech.
Nice.
Interesting.
Oh.
And Games with Beanie said making new friends, which I think is important. You had some?
I have some. I have Tabletop Strategy said their first game of Time Stories, so that was obviously a memorable one for them. Making lifelong roll, draw, or play has written making lifelong friends on my Blood on the Clock Tower group and local board game groups. Nanda Meander has written ScootCon, where we got to meet Nanda, didn't we?
We did.
Was good. A good event.
I think any convention where you get to meet lots of people who you usually only speak to online, pretty cool.
And especially ones that live in other countries.
Yeah. So it must have been quite cool when you saw everyone at Cajun Con and met everybody.
It was, but I think Craig's talking about Rodney.
Wait a minute. I said America, not
meeting Rodney at it.
I said America, not
Canada. You just said out of country. You didn't say America.
Brian from Always Plays Blue said playing the board game 24 hours straight for board games 24 hours straight for charity. Loved every minute, all 1,440 of them.
Wow.
Wow.
Miss Calamariot wrote playing Hereditary and being the mother character was very emotional. Max of Board Runner said meeting gamers all around the world at expos. Shell Bell _Otga, out of town. Shelley said playing board games with board game friends in Brunei.
They've just had the most amazing holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike C. Cooper said got to be some of the games of Blood on the Clock Tower, some great games and great people. So yeah, that's some people's experiences that they thought they would. Yeah, some of the best experiences they thought that would never really happen. Yeah,
board gaming is quite cool, and everyone should get into it.
Yeah, everyone should get into games.
Get into games.
I'm gonna. Yeah, if I had £1 for every time I said that myself. No, wait, I'm the only person. Damn it. Yeah.
You can pay people.
It really is about people, right?
It is.
Yeah, board games are fun and everything, but it's the people that are a lot better. Yeah.
And the things you learn about yourself as well. Like,
yep.
so,
Like being able to take turns.
Yeah. That. Yeah, because I think I'm going to be serious for a minute.
All right, sure. I'm going to be serious too.
I think that it allows us to meet with people from lots of different backgrounds. And I think that is a good thing because we learn things about ourselves that we didn't necessarily know we needed to know until we learned them.
That's true. It's very...
That is well said. Well said.
I'm glad you're being serious for once.
Well, someone's got to.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place for humour, Craig.
Yeah? I'll let you know when I'm being humorous.
Okay.
Oh my goodness! Yep.
Yeah,
there it is.
Good job, I love you.
You do what?
What? That was a revelation.
Oh my gosh!
Just a truth bomb there.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
I will say that on a real highway, you have no problem taking turns.
Yeah, I do.
Just in the game.
You got us home safely, Craig, so you can take turns too.
No sheep, no birds or anything.
Nope.
I don't think the people need to hear
were
about
harmed on the streets of.
No, but I strongly recommend that for those of us who live outside of England, when we go to the UK, you've got to make a stop in Daventry. Yeah. It's great.
It's a real highlight.
We had so much fun.
Tesco's was your favorite highlight of the trip.
Tesco's was great. Tesco was fantastic. At least you took me to a grocery. Yeah, I'm going to throw just a little bit of shade at my partner for a minute. Gareth, I asked Gareth to take me to make groceries, and he's like, "Why do you want to go to the shops?" I was like, "Because I want to be a part of your life, and I want to see." But you know what, Craig? You took me to make groceries, and it was great. And Katie found baking ingredients that we can't get in America that she was looking for, so that was awesome.
Just another service we offer at Get Into Games HQ. Yeah, so I think that's our episode this week. PJ, do you have anything else you want to add to the podcast?
I do. Here's a revelation Katie and I had today. Speaking of groceries, we're going to take it back to groceries. So we came back to the United States and we brought home tea, biscuits, and chocolate. Apparently, there's no more tea in England, and I apologize for that. But thank you. Thanks for letting us into your home, being with your family. Thank you for letting me be on today and sharing that with the rest of the world.
And and also just one other side mention. So there's something very important to tell the listeners. That is that when you are having dinner, always start with a Scotch egg.
Yes, the gospel of the Scotch egg. I'm going to go to work tomorrow and tell everyone about it. You have to have a Scotch egg. Got
How was your holiday? Scotch eggs.
Yes, Scotch eggs. Listen. Before I talk about anything about how was England, listen, Scotch eggs. This is
The true English experience is having a Scotch egg and a sausage roll at the foot of the statue of George VI. I'm telling you, that's it.
whilst
That was it for us.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different hats. Well, cool.
That's right.
So let's bring this car home by taking a turn.
Stop it!
Pulling into the drive. Oh no more heat in the engine. Boom. Yes. So thank you very much, PJ, for agreeing to be part of our little podcast this week. And thank you for agreeing to come to us on your holiday, and happy anniversary to you both.
Thank you.
Please follow PJ at the Cajun Gamer on Instagram. Go and listen to Meeple to Meeple this week. They have
To hear all about
Apostocracy. Yep, listen to that this week, and listen back to other episodes like the Halloween episode specifically, or the Christmas episode specifically. I can't think why.
Ray.
I don't know why.
Always lowering the tone. Always.
Thank you. That's what I'm here for. But yeah, remember to follow us at Mrs._Get Into Games, and more importantly, follow me at Get Into Games, because Craig can take turns. So
can I.
Yeah. So
Well, maybe.
So with that in mind, have a wonderful, wonderful time. Please leave a 5-star review, a comment if you're on the Apple Podcasts, 5-star review down below. It all helps. Word of mouth as well. Let as many people know about the podcast as possible. Spread the joys of board games and podcasts, because you tell one other person, that's one now the listener, and that literally doubles the number of listeners to the podcast. Thank you very much. How numbers work. 1 + 1 is 2 and all that.
Yeah, but it's not how doubling works, is it?
Well, it is. You double 1, you double
2 add 1 is 3. That's not double.
Well, 2 people aren't going to tell 1, are they? What? If one other person tells 1?
Okay.
Please remember to get into Becky not taking turns. And also, please remember to wear a seatbelt. It's very important to do that when driving.
Especially when
Becky's driving. And also, as always, remember to always switch off your phone when you're in the cinema, because it's really rude when your phone rings while someone's watching a movie. Okay. And remember to
always get into Meeple.
Oh yeah, remember to get into Meeple to Meeple to Meeple to Meeple podcast.
Made to beat the people. Get into Meeple to Meeple. Get into it.
People.
Do you think anybody actually listens?
The Meeple.
They do actually. They like to listen to the slow meltdown of Craig at the end of the podcast. I think people love it.
Oh.
PJ,
You're listening to the slow meltdown of Get Into Games, Get Into Games, Get Into Games today. Get into games, Get Into Games, Get Into Games today.
So yeah, that expect that soundbite to be used as our intro for every episode in future.
He's going to get royalties.
And remember to... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, I've got another minute to go.
You wasted that beautiful conclusion. Oh, that was a great outro.
It was beautiful. But Becky always likes to say, remember to get into heaven. I can't say it because it's not another... I've got another 40 seconds to wait.
For goodness sake.
I'll let PJ do it. PJ can say, remember to get into...
Get into games today.
Happy birthday, everyone. See you later. Bye.
Bye.